Hi, everybody. My name is Lily. Welcome to the Drafty seminar. I am a theatrical lighting designer and the draftsperson responsible for creating symbols in Drafty. I'll take you through an orientation to the program using some of my own workflow and show you how to make a basic light plot. So we'll start with our core features. When you log into Drafty, this will be your blank drafting space. It contains a border, a title block, center line, and plaster line. Over here, we have our Drafty tools. So this right here is our layers. These 6 layers are fixed concepts. We can navigate through them by clicking on the buttons: order, units, dimensions, positions, scenery, architecture. Or you can use the number keys. 1 is architecture, 2 for scenery, 3 for positions, 4 for dimensions, 5 for units, 6 for the border layer. We can turn them on and off with a shift click, and then shift click again, we'll turn them back on. And these layers don't restack. They are what they are. And all of these tools underneath here operate within these 6 layers. These right here are Drafty's plates. So we have the first 5 preset for you, but your drawing can contain up to 30. You can set all these as you wish. Here is our drafting tools menu. So this contains everything you need to draw basic shapes, set pieces, dimensions, notes, and so on. Pressing Shift, pressing Option, pressing Command reveals tools underneath. Here is our objects menu, and we use this menu to add lights, speakers, positions, etc. And again, their modifier keys: Shift, Option, Command, reveal other tools underneath. Here is Select By tools, Import Export tools, and file handling. So when you first open Drafty, we want to set up your drawing. So we're going to go to the border layer, pressing 6 or clicking on border. And down here, you'll see there are various tools that you'll use to move and organize your various objects in your drawing. To move around in the drawing, you press Shift and drag to move your screen, and then zoom in and out with either the mouse wheel or the 2-finger swipe on a trackpad. So down here, still on the border layer, we can choose our paper size. We can select where we want our title block to be. We can also choose what blocks want to be in the title block. We can change our scale. I'm going to go to 1/4 inch there. We want to show or hide the border. Title block plain. We'll leave it plain, but we can also do a nice shadow or a darker background, or hide it entirely. Your reference lines and your center line, plaster line, you can turn them off if you like. There's also a reference grid you can show if that helps you, and you can adjust the spacing. We'll stay in Imperial for now. We'll hide our grid. Crosshairs are the lines connected to your cursor. You can, again, turn those on or off. And I'm going to zoom out by pressing Command, and this button will zoom to fit the page. So I'll quickly go to the dimensions layer. I can hit 4 or click the button, and I'll turn on center line marker. There we go, and I'll turn on a plaster line marker. There we go. How do we add lights to Drafty? What? First, we're going to press P, and that adds our position. We're going to label it. You can see the position is highlighted in blue. I'll just type in 1LX, and now I'll press L to add a light. And you can see it's showed up in the key, and there's our source for 36 degree. And then I'll press D to duplicate as many times as I want. And I'll select a couple of these lights. Select that one and that one and that one. And I'll go down here, enter channel information, and I'll start with channel 1. And now they're all 1, and then I enter the plus symbol, and you can see they've incremented in the order that I selected them. And we can select a couple of these lights over here, and I'm going to press shift and arrow to the right, and they all rotate around their own origins rather than rotating as around the center of the group. Now I'm going to, and as you can see, the lights have put themselves on the units layer. Now I'm going to go to the positions layer, select the position. And when I press D to duplicate, it duplicated by our interval of 18 inches, but I'm going to change that interval to 3 feet. And now I press D, and it's going to duplicate upstage. And it's named itself number 2 electric. And I'll press D again, and that's the 3rd electric. And now I'm going to again press D and pan to move, press the space bar and drag to move. I'll select that light, and I'll say, I don't want that to be a source 4. Let's make it a LED LEGO. And you can see the LED LEGO has now put itself in the key for us. All right, now we can also add things like speakers. I'll press C. There's a speaker. Press C again to add another speaker to that pipe and another speaker to that pipe. Right, and these also, just like when I can change the units with the drop-down contextual menu, I can change the speaker. So we have lots of options. We'll go with very small for that one. And again, put itself in the key. So something that we find is very helpful for worksheeting. If you select this light, you can turn on your angles, and that shows you your beam and field angle for a 36 degree light. And of course, if you change that to, let's say, a 5 degree, it's going to update in real time. So there's your 5 degree beam. And the speakers act in much the same way. You can turn on their angles, and you can figure out your coverage. So we'll go to, I'm going to zoom back out here to fit the page. We'll move all of this stuff. And again, went to the positions layer by pressing the 3 key. I'll just move this over here for now. Now I'm going to go to the scenery layer by pressing 2. And we're going to go over to this line set drop down and press show. And here is our line set schedule. Now, you can have any number that you would like. We'll do 60. You can change your spacing. Let's say 9 inches. You can show trim. You can make it a double width for clarity. And all of these line sets are fully customizable. So let's say the second line set is actually, 3 feet upstage of the plaster line. So we'll just type in 3 feet, enter, and it's moved itself and all the other line sets with it. And let's say there's another gap here, and that is at 7'2". And as you can see, everything above it is moved as well. Now we'll go over here to the label, and instead of unused, we'll say this is the number 1 legs. And then I'm hitting tab, and that takes me to the next line set upstage. 1 border, and tab again, and we'll make that the number 1 electric. Now, this is all still on the scenery layer. So I'll click on our 1 leg and go down to the contextual menu and say, that's legs. And now I'm going to zoom out, and there's our legs. And now I'll click over here on 1 border, tell it to be a border. And there's our border, and again, I can go down to the contextual menu, change the length. I can also, of course, click and drag to change the length. And I'll go to the number 1 electric label and tell it to be a position. And same thing here, we'll click and drag. And there's our label. And I'll take the, going back to the scenery layer by pressing 2, grab the legs, adjust them. So now we have electric, a border, and legs. And now let's add some lights to this electric. So there's you can see it's number 5 because I've also labeled these electrics. So let's get rid of these for a moment. All right, now it knows to be number 1. I'm going to change my interval to 2 feet. I want this to be side lights, so I'll shift and arrow left to rotate it, and then D to duplicate, D to duplicate, D to duplicate. Now I will, still in the positions layer, so I'll double click on the position. That selects all the lights on the position. And I'm going to press W to mirror over the center line. And then I'll add some more lights. Let's see, this time I'll press Shift L for a par can. And let's say we don't want to, no more of those old-fashioned pars. We want a source for a par. And we'll make a couple of those. Select those, W to mirror over center line. And then Command L will insert a moving light. We have a pretty extensive library of these. We'll do the studio beam and mirror that over center line. I'll press 3. Right now we're on the units layer since we added some units. I'll go back to the positions layer, select the pipe, go down to the contextual menu and the dimensions from center line, and there's our dimensions. There's our fully dimensioned pipe. So now I am going to go to the scenic layer again, and I'm going to select these legs. I'm going to change our interval to, let's say, 6 feet. And again, pressing D to duplicate, it's going to duplicate upstage because it figures you want to duplicate upstage. So we're filling out a line set here. Duplicating the border. And finally going to the positions layer by pressing 3, selecting the position, D to duplicate. There's your second electric, D to duplicate, there's your third, and once more, there's your fourth electric. So now we can go through and let's see, so I'm pressing Shift, click to select multiple units, and I will number these. Let's say channel 1 plus, and we'll start these at 101 plus. And we'll label our movers as well. Start them at, say, 201. So now we have our electrics filled out. And now I'm going to press Shift P. As you might remember, the P inserts a position, and Shift P inserts a boom over here in our objects menu. So I'm going to label the boom, let's see, 1 boom left. I'm in the right screen. 1 boom left. And right now the default is 10 feet. We can make it any height we'd like. And I'll add a light. Duplicate that a couple times. And now going to the positions layer, pressing 3, selecting the boom, making sure my interval is at 6 feet, and duplicate, and it's created your number 2 boom left and your number 3 boom left. We'll do it one more time for the number 4 boom left. Now I'll select all of these and press W to mirror over the center line, and now it's created your number 1, 2, 3, and 4 booms stage right. And I'll move our line set schedule out of the way. So again, press the 2 key to go to the scenery layer, click and drag. And we'll add some speakers, some monitors to this plot, do some overheads, and some monitors over here. And again, we'll zoom to fit the page, see everything. So now we're going to go to the scenery layer again and come down here to Smart Section and turn Smart Section on. Now we go back to our plates menu and we go to the section plate. And here, Smart Section has made you section. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, grab our line set schedule since our trims are not that high up. And all these objects, you can just click and drag. Thank you for the reminder. To change your trims, and you can see the sightline updates in real time, and place that however you need to. You can grab your electrics. Let's say the first electric can actually fly in a little bit. Same with second electric. And actually, as I look at this, we have put all our legs downstage of the border, which is not typically how it's done. So I'm going to go to the scenery layer by pressing 2. I'll grab the number 4 border and drag it downstage, and it'll swap with the leg. I'm going to do the same thing here. Great, and let's say I want to take this first electric and move it upstage. With line set, so we're not running into the border. Do that for the same for the second electric. So now that you will go back to our plot plate. And as you can see, the borders and legs reflect that update we made. And the trims are also updated. So the first electric is now at 1811, second electric at 19.1. The third and fourth are still at their default 23-foot trim. So we'll go back to the section for a moment. I'm going to push Shift-2 on my keyboard and zoom in. Something I can also do in Drafty is import a section, a PDF of a section. So here it's imported my section. You can see it's rotated 90 degrees from what I'd like it. So I can either grab this blue handle and rotate, or use the Shift arrow to rotate it. And I'll line up my drawing, but as you can see, this PDF is a section looking stage right, and our Smart Section is looking stage left. So I'm going to go over here to the drop-down menu and say View Stage Right. That's going to make more sense. Now I'll line this up with our plaster line, roughly. And I'll go to the scenic layer again and grab this line set, and as you can see, more accurately reflect what's going on in the space. So I will again go to the plot, and I will go to the scenery layer right over here, go to the signal flow plate. That section. There it is. On the units layer, Smart Flow, turn that on. And what it gives us is all the speakers that we've put on the plot and a flow object. So let's see, I'm going to make this say our mixer. And let's see, mixing, obviously. And then I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to make this say MacBook Pro for playback main. And I'll duplicate that for playback backup. So with your signal flow units, you just click and drag to connect your components. And then let's see, option C. We'll insert a wired mic. Another option C. Another wired mic, let's say. So there's your simple setup. And then from your mixer, you just pull on these blue dots and connect to your speakers. And as you can see, you can click and drag on any of these and the wires will update in real time. You can, of course, rename all these. You can name your outs as well. That's a quick intro to our signal flow. We'll go back to the plot for a moment. So we have our pretty complete plot, and we'll now go to our lighting database. And right here, here's all the lights we put in the drawing, reflects the channels that we gave them, position, unit, instrument type, all that good stuff. And now we can enter data in this format. So we'll say these lights are for side light, and we'll give them a color. And now let's say they get a template as well. Now we're going to go back to, we'll tab back to the plot, and we'll zoom in. And there they are, your channels, colors, templates. Now let's say, oh, actually, these four lights want to be 26s, and they need to be 750s. Great. So we'll go back here, and now they have changed to 26 degrees, 750 watts. Over here is your type counts, live counting, color counts, and your position order for your paperwork. You can also assign dimming really quickly in this format. Let's say your electric, you just want to give everything a dimmer for counting purposes. So I'll press, let's see, we'll start with 1 and then plus, and it autofills. And then we'll go back to the plot, and we'll go down to our contextual menu, dimmers, show, and there it'll give you the hexagons with all the dimmers. So we'll show you how to update your title block info. So down here, we'll go to the border layer. I'm going to press 6. So right here, it says legend bottom 1x. You can also change the scale of your title block to fit better. We'll zoom in, and we'll press edit. So we can turn on and off things like the symbol key, things like the legalese. Hit update, and as you can see, it turned off the label legend. I need to turn off that one. There we go. There's our key. So when you sign in, all of your info will be auto-populated right here. You can still edit it, of course, by double-clicking. And then you can edit all this text. You can edit your show name. Here's your drawing number. It'll automatically keep track of which plates you've drafted on, and so it'll For example, we've been on the plot, the section, and the signal flow, so it's counted us, our total is 3. And we can also import show logos. We import image files using the import logo, so you can put it on your title block. And then once you've finished your drawing to your heart's content, you go down to file handling and shift changes save as to save, changes open to new, option, changes audio lighting database to audio database, open to G drive, and command. So we want to export the plate. And it's generated a PDF of our plot. I'll close that for a moment. And now we want to export the hookup. And we have 2 options we can export as a PDF, which this will do. Again, you can change all of this information as you need to. Print to PDF. And there's your channel hookup. Obviously, we have a lot of things that we didn't channel, so they are listed first. But there's our info. This prints out your whole package. So there's a hookup, and then there is the instrument schedule, followed by your unit totals and color cuts. You can also export as a CSV and then open it in any other database program you may wish to use. We can also take a look at the audio database. So this will give you all your speakers, positions, and as you connect things and label things, it will populate these columns. So now we can open it up to any questions we might have. Max, if you have anything you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think that was an excellent tour. It's really delightful to see that. So I'm the main software developer for Drafty. I am not a lighting designer. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself. I think everybody should be able to. If you have a question or a particular feature you would like demonstrated in more depth.
Hi. I've just got a question about the sound side of things on the software. You went to the unit page that listed all your hookups, etc. It just had the generic title as small speaker type. Just wondering whether there's any way of, say, there's a certain set of speakers I regularly work with. Can I get Drafty to understand, like associate a certain graphic for a speaker with a certain model of speaker that I'm wanting to use, and do that side of things for me? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes. Yep. So when I press the C key, it inserts generic speaker. So if you want to change that, you can go down to the contextual menu here, and instead of saying small speaker, you can go to your manufacturer and pick out whichever is your appropriate speaker, and then it's changed the type in your database.
And if there's a particular manufacturer or individual speaker that you don't find, just let us know via email, and we can usually get that turned around in very short order. And then all you have to do is hit refresh on your app and you'll pick up the latest.
Great, thanks. I'm fairly new to Drafty just because I'm in the UK. A lot of sound designers I know over here use various alternative softwares just to draw these things in a very laborious way. So I'm just sort of curious as to some of the more basic things about it. Like, is it just accessible through a browser, or can I have it? Is it a downloaded software package? Or
So it's only for the browser. It does cache everything though, so you don't have to constantly have internet. So we can't demonstrate that, obviously, because then literally Zoom would drop. But if you load the app and then turn off your Wi-Fi, it will store everything until it gets Wi-Fi connection again. So obviously it won't save, but it still has undo and what have you. And the moment that it detects the Wi-Fi again, it'll come right back and store everything in Google Drive. So some of the things that we do in terms of rendering PDFs, for example, just don't seem to be possible in a browser currently. And we're using a number of open source Linux tools on our server to do a lot of the rendering and such. So it is a very sort of, web flavored application. But we found that, as ubiquity of, Wi-Fi is sort of, really being made available everywhere, and people can tether to their phones and what have you, that 5 years ago, we would get a lot of requests for a desktop version, and these days hardly at all. So
that's interesting, and that was a really good tour, by the way. Thanks for showing us around that, Lee.
Another thing too is, just real quick, is it'll run on a relatively low end machine too, like a Chromebook. Like, you don't have to have anything fancy, whereas some of our competitors require, a reasonably beefy workstation. So.
Sure, cool. The other question is the same possible in reverse for the microphone side of things? Like, what other options have we got for graphics on that side of things?
That's where we're thin. So at the moment, we have very few mic options, but we have 5 or 6. So what is yeah, we have 7. So, but again, if you approach us and say, oh, but I really need this artwork for this particular mic, that's a thing we can add.
That was good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, hi there. I don't have any questions. I think the program is fantastic. It's been really helpful to me for the last year or so. So I just wondered if there was anything I could pick up along here, and it's pretty good. The only thing I don't do theatrical stuff so much. I do like special events, and so I'm always importing someone else's PDF of an event space.
Yep.
And I run into glitches of scale sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
that's on the feature list, is to fix the scaling stuff. So.
okay, great. That's pretty much my one thing.
Well, I'll make a note.
Where are you guys? You guys are based in New York?
So we're all over. I'm near San Francisco. Lily is in Pennsylvania, and Lucas is in Berlin.
Ah, okay, great. I'm New York based, but you guys are incredibly responsive. Like when I have sent Lucas something, it's like probably you, Mark. You're like, you come up with it within 24 hours. So that's pretty
well,
cool.
and sometimes, so this program, right? If it detects internally that there's some sort of a bug or a failure or whatever, my phone beeps at me and says, "Oh, look, there's a problem." And so more than a few times, I've been able to identify the problem, fix the problem, push the fix to the server, and email the customer and say, "Oh, hey, we noticed that you were having a problem with this thing. It's fixed. Just hit refresh." And people are like, "Okay," that I've never seen from customer service, is calling to tell me that a bug is already fixed. I was just sitting down to report it. So.
That's fantastic. Well, great. And Lily, very nice presentation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us too. Tell us what you want from the app. And that's probably where we're thinnest, is on the audio side. Like, none of us is a professional audio person. So we're still, taking feedback from whomever offers it. So.
Well, yeah, will do. It's very popular from lighting designers that I've worked with in the UK.
Yep.
They seem to absolutely rave about the package. So I'm going to certainly look to use it once theatres are open again.
Yeah, it's a very tough time for everybody. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I think that's all the questions I had. Really, that's Lily, you've really sort of made it clear for me. So thanks so much, guys, for hosting this.
Great.
Oh, sure thing. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we will end our presentation, and we'll see you guys around.